We are going to get to the news. Brazil's Supreme Court yesterday ordered former President Jair Bolsonaro to begin serving his 27-year prison sentence for attempting a coup after losing an election. Wow, our guy only got 4 years. Bloomberg News published a transcript yesterday of a leaked phone call between Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's top aides, in which Witkoff appears to offer advice on how to flatter President Trump. Though, if they want to know how to talk to Trump, they should ask Zoran. I mean, for real. Look at that. Normally, the only time you see an old guy smile like that is when his favorite restaurant opens at 4. While speaking yesterday at the annual White House turkey pardoning, President Trump said that he had never seen a turkey that big before. Said an aide, "Sir, that's Mitch McConnell." Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is facing criticism for continuing to serve as a paid spokesman for a sleeping pill while serving as the U.S. ambassador to Israel, but it won't matter as long as his #1 customer is happy. The New York Times published an article yesterday on how President Trump is aging in office, and it's a pretty quick read. President Trump criticized the New York Times in a post on Truth Social today for publishing an article that argues he has slowed down due to aging and called the newspaper a, quote, cheap rag. And nothing says I'm not old like calling a newspaper a cheap rag. That's definitely how young people talk. Those muckrakers. A group of progressive senators nicknamed the Fight Club are reportedly challenging Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's strategy for midterm elections. Well, leave it to the Democrats to immediately break the first rule of Fight Club. Well, you guys, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so you've got less than 24 hours to do something with that theater degree. Pope Leo is set to travel to Turkey on Thanksgiving. And you know what? I think we're just going to let your dad have that joke. The sandwich chain Subway has begun offering a sub inspired by the turducken called the Turhamkin, which is served with turkey, ham, chicken, stuffing, a stool, and a rope. Authorities in Tempe recently arrested nearly 250 people at a bar near Arizona State University for underage drinking. To be fair, that is the school's full name. And finally, KFC recently released its extra crispy festive feast, which includes a new gravy flight featuring 3 different flavors. Gravy flight is also what they call the helicopter ride to the hospital afterwards. And that was a monologue, everybody. Got a great show tonight. You know, Birdcage as well as fantastic shows like The Simpsons and Brockmire. Currently, he's starring in The Artist. The first 3 episodes will be available to watch November 27th on the network.stream. Hank Azaria is back on the show, everybody. She's fantastic actress. You've seen in The Worst Person in the World, Presumed Innocent, and Oslo, August 31st. She stars in the amazing new film Sentimental Value, which is in theaters now. Renata Reinsova is back on the show. We're so happy to have her. And this is incredibly cool. We are very excited. You know them as the singing voices of the fictional pop group Huntrix from the massive animated Netflix movie K-Pop Demon Hunters. See them perform at the 99th edition of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which airs tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. on NBC and Peacock across all time zones. EJ, Audrey Nuna, and Rayami are here, you guys. How about that? Before we get to everything we've just promised you guys, it's almost Thanksgiving. Everybody's gathering for the feast, and that includes my writers. You know, they write hundreds of jokes every day just to get the 10 or 12 we use in the monologue, and honestly, a lot of those jokes just aren't good. Sometimes I think they throw in a few stinkers on purpose just to fill the page, meet the assignment. But just because the pumpkin pie is cooling on the sill, that doesn't mean we can tolerate laziness, which means it's time for another surprise inspection. Here's how this works. I'm going to read some real jokes that were really submitted by my real writers that we pay real money. Some are dumb, some are offensive, some are just insane. Most importantly, my writers don't know we're doing this, and because they don't watch the show, they'll never know. So let's get started. Honda has issued a recall for more than 400,000 sedans due to an issue with wheel nuts, so you'd have to be wheel nuts to keep driving yours. That's Matt wrote that joke. We will be showing the pictures of the writers to shame them and also, as a cautionary device. So if you ever see someone who looks like this coming, cross the street. Authorities in New Mexico by the way, we also start with the ones we think will go the best. Authorities in New Mexico recently caught a pig after it was found running on a highway. They gave him a porking ticket. That's Brian. Brian sits next to Matt, and I imagine the conversation went like this. Just came up with porking ticket, and he was like, sorry, buddy, I got wheel nuts. The talent agency UTA recently signed the makers of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese as part of their plan to make America great again. Oh no, we broke you with the first two. That was Matt again. Now, Matt and Brian, they have a lot of fun. A couple of cool dads. There's a third character in the old writer's room, and his name is Mike Scollins, and childless man. Dark-hearted, black-souled. Not worrying about letting anyone down. And his joke is next. An Oregon woman recently rescued a shark that was stranded on a beach by grabbing its tail and dragging it into the ocean. She'll be missed. Couple of things to know about Scollins, couple fun facts. He's from Massachusetts, and he wears a tank top to work. Betty Crocker has launched its new Super Moist collection, which features sweatshirts, hats, and totes. But guys, if she sees you wearing it, she won't be. Bad news, Brian took a run at this story, too. Betty Crocker has launched a new collection of apparel and accessories branded with their trademark Super Moist. In response, Duncan Hines announced their new Swamp Ass collection. Taco Bell is set this week to launch its new fan-style menu. It's called that because you'll need a fan to get rid of the smells you make after eating it. Matt wrote that, the smell, I take such offense with the smells you make. It's not the meal you eat, it's the smells you make along the way. Oh, boy. When you see a story like this in the news, you get so worried that Scollins will see it. Because you know it's not going to be good for anyone. According to a new DNA analysis, Adolf Hitler might have had a micropenis. Really? It looked normal to me. Oh, no! So the premise of his joke, just to make it clear, is I, in reading the setup of that joke, would then admit to the audience that I'd seen it and it looked normal to me. And that I would realize my error. And he thought I'd see that and go, yeah, no, we should do that one. Scollins knew I wouldn't do that one, so he tried a second effort that I also wouldn't do. According to new DNA analysis, Adolf Hitler might have had a micropenis and not, as he claimed, 9 inches. Just want to hold a little bit longer so everybody can get a screen grab of this. I think they know what Hitler looks like. We don't have to put him in the key. All right, you know what? Let's clear the palate with a more fun story, a lighter one. Today was National Hug a Musician Day, which is a lot better than what you used to have to do. You're doing worse than Hitler. That was you guys know who wrote that joke? I don't have to tell you. Three choices. I'm going to read the joke. I want you all to mentally guess who wrote it. And finally, today was National Pay Back Your Parents Day. Way ahead of you, said Eric and Lyle. This has been Surprise Inspection. We'll be right back with Hank Azaria, everybody.